Ever feel like your brain is a little like a restaurant kitchen sometimes? Things are moving fast, you're trying to manage a million different tasks at once.
Oh, absolutely.
And in a real restaurant kitchen, the heat is really on.
Mm.
So today we're taking a deep dive into how professional chefs manage stress in such a high-stakes environment.
It's fascinating, isn't it? I mean, we always hear about how demanding the job is. And the article we read really gets into that.
It really does. Like, I knew it was tough, but the constant scrutiny from food critics, from customers, every single dish is being judged.
Exactly. It's a very exposed profession, you're right. On top of that, you've got the time pressure, the budget constraints, managing a team.
Oh, and don't forget about making sure the food actually tastes good.
Well, yeah,
Eh,
that too. But that's kind of a given, right?
uh, I guess so. There's that old saying, too many cooks in the kitchen.
Right. You can have too much of a good thing.
Exactly. Speaking of things in the kitchen, what really struck me was this whole idea of mise en place being about so much more than just prepping ingredients.
Oh, for sure. It's practically a way of life for chefs, I think. Mise en place, literally everything in its place. It's about bringing order to the chaos. Imagine you walk into this crazy busy kitchen, orders flying left and right, but you feel calm because you've got your station prep. Every single thing you need is ready to go. That's mise en place.
So it's not just like chopping onions beforehand. It's bigger than that.
Way bigger. Think of it as a system. It's about minimizing distractions, reducing mental clutter, so you can really focus on the task at hand.
So really, anyone can use this mise en place idea.
Absolutely. Think about planning your day the night before, or organizing your workspace, or even something as simple as laying out your clothes for the morning. It's all mise en place. Less decision fatigue, less stress.
You know, I actually tried that after reading the article, and it really does make a difference. I'm usually so frazzled in the mornings, but not having to think about what to wear. It was kind of amazing.
Right. It's those little decisions that drain our mental energy. And chefs, I think they have to be really mindful of that. The article also talked about self-care, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah. And it's not just about like bubble baths and face masks. It's essential. There was that great line, you can't pour from an empty pot.
Oh, yeah. Chefs, they can't be at the top of their game if they're running on fumes.
Exactly. The article talked about how important exercise is, spending time in nature,
Yeah.
even just having hobbies. It's good advice for everyone, really.
Oh, for sure. But it's easy to let those things slide when you're stressed. Chefs, though, they kind of have to be intentional about it. They have to find ways to de-stress outside that high-pressure kitchen environment.
And the article even talked about getting enough sleep and, actually eating properly.
Right. Basic stuff, but so important, especially in a demanding job like that.
It's like they say, you are what you eat, right? But it's bigger than that. It's sleep, it's exercise, it's all those things that impact our ability to handle stress.
Totally. And speaking of things that impact our ability to handle stress, the article also talked about the importance of teamwork, which makes sense in a busy kitchen, but it seems like it goes beyond just getting along with your coworkers.
Right.
Like it's about building a team that really clicks, especially when things get crazy. The article talked about how important it is to hire the right people, not just skills, but attitude. People who are positive, who are willing to learn.
So it's about surrounding yourself with people who lift you up, not drag you down.
Exactly, especially in a high-pressure job. And then there's cross-training.
Oh, right. Makes sense. Everybody can do a little bit of everything.
Right, which it makes everyone more efficient, for sure.
Yeah.
But it also creates the safety net. Someone's feeling overwhelmed or there's a sudden rush, someone else can jump in, no problem. That we've got your back kind of feeling.
That's huge. It's interesting, though. The article talked about how even in the best kitchens, things still go wrong sometimes.
Yeah.
It's inevitable, right? So how do they handle that? When the proverbial grease fire erupts, how do these chefs stay so calm?
The article actually highlighted the importance of just taking a beat. I mean, yeah, easier said than done when you're in a pressure cooker.
Right.
But even just that moment where you pause, take a breath, and assess before you react, it can make all the difference.
I don't know. I picture Gordon Ramsay in Hell's Kitchen,
Yeah.
and I don't see a lot of deep breathing going on.
Well, true. Not everyone can be a Zen master, especially in the heat of the moment. But the point is, if you freak out, it just makes things worse.
Right. The article talked a lot about how important communication is, too.
Oh.
Being able to explain the issue, outline a plan to fix it, and make sure everyone's on the same page quickly and efficiently.
So communication is key to, prevent problems in the first place. but also to put out those fires when they happen. It's like its own form of mise en place, isn't it? Having those strong communication skills already in place.
It totally is. And, building on that whole idea,
Yeah.
one thing the article really stressed was this idea of using mistakes as opportunities for growth.
Oh, interesting. So not just brushing them under the rug. Right. But actually analyzing what happened, making changes so it doesn't happen again.
It's like a growth mindset for the kitchen.
Right. And honestly, that's something we can apply to any job, right?
100%. It's really cool how we can learn things from experts in totally different fields, right?
Yeah,
Even if we never actually step foot in a professional kitchen.
I know. It's amazing.
Speaking of kitchens, though,
Yeah.
this is making me hungry. What do you make when you're stressed? What's your go-to?
Honestly, I'm not much of a chef myself, but big bowl of pasta, some veggies. That's my comfort food, for sure. What about you?
Probably something with chocolate in it. A lot of chocolate.
Can't go wrong with chocolate. But, okay, before we get too off track, there's one more thing I wanted to touch on from the article, something we haven't really talked about yet, but
Yeah.
super important. The actual work environment itself.
The work environment itself.
Yeah.
Like beyond just a stressful kitchen.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The article talked about how a really toxic work environment, it can kind of cancel out even the best coping mechanisms.
It's like you can have all the right ingredients, but if your oven's broken.
Right. Exactly. You're not going to end up with a good result.
So it's not enough to just have your own ways of dealing with stress.
Yeah.
You need to be in the right environment too.
Yes, 100%. And that's why it's so important to choose the right kitchen, The article talked about how crucial it is to work for a restaurant or a management team that really values its employees. They have realistic expectations, a supportive environment, respectful.
Because even if you can handle the heat in the kitchen, if you dread going to work every day,
It's going to take its toll. Yeah.
for sure. But I guess the good news is we do have a choice, right?
Mm.
We can choose to stay in a bad environment or
To find someplace better.
exactly
It might not be easy, but...
right. It might not be easy, but it is possible.
Well, this has been such a fascinating deep dive. So much good stuff here. What's the one thing you hope our listener takes away from this whole conversation?
Yep.
About chefs and stress and all of it? That's a good question. I think for me, the big takeaway is this: stress management.
Mhm.
It's not about waiting until you're already feeling overwhelmed.
Right.
It's about building those healthy habits, those routines. It's about having that support system ready before you need it.
I like that. So it's like being proactive about your well-being.
Yes, exactly. And that could be mise en place or self-care. It could even be just bringing a little more mindfulness into your everyday life.
So no matter how crazy things get, we can all find ways to be a little bit more chef-like in how we handle it all.
100%.
I love it. Well, that's about all the time we have for today's deep dive. But for our listener out there, remember, even in the hottest kitchen, a little bit of cool goes a long way.
It really does.
And on that note, we'll see you next time.